So the video essay question of which I'll be exploring today is question number 2, namely, what is the International Criminal Court and why was it created? The International Criminal Court, it is an international institutional body which adjudicates matters pertaining to international law. It is not to be confused or conflated with its counterpart, namely the ICJ, which is the International Court of Justice, which too adjudicates matters pertaining to international law. But the International Criminal Court of Justice adjudicates matters pertaining to international criminal law, more specifically, 4 crimes in particular: acts of aggression, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. The International Criminal Court of Justice, its intellectual, theological, religious, philosophical thought can be traced back roughly 4,500 years ago with the descent of Hinduism. Hinduism differs as far as its intellectual international law legal contributions. It differs from other respective faiths, namely its Abrahamic counterparts, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Whereas in Christianity and Islam, engaging in a war was in fact legitimized with the Crusades or the concept of jus bello in Christianity, or jihad, a holy war, in Islam. In the case of Hinduism, the ancient Hindu thinkers coming from India, they came up with 3 fundamental things. A, they're trying to make law as humane as possible. B, they're trying to make law as fair as possible. And lastly, they're trying to make law as equal as possible, meaning that an aggressive state engaging in war with another state, it had to have the same level of war propensities. How this manifests itself in contemporary politics is that a country which has nuclear arms cannot engage in war with another country without nuclear arms, such as Hindu thinking. Some of the laws of which the Hindu thinkers developed in their respective legal system include not engaging in warfare in the night, not in the event that one is inclined to engage in war, they would have to announce it to the respective oppositional party. Women and children were exempted. Collective punishment was equally exempted, and so forth. Now, fast forwarding up until the 19th century, you had a very famous intellectual named Mounier. Now, Mounier, he was very much disturbed with the Franco-Prussian War, and he was a lead person of the Red Cross. And he was very much disturbed by these events and absence of justice. So he began to prolifically write about developing some sort of international institution of the sort. But Mounier's views were deemed to be a little bit too radical, a little bit too ambitious and idealistic, and he was very much dismissed. It would fast forward to the middle of the 20th century, namely with the ad hoc trials of Yugoslavia and Rwanda, the Rwandan genocide in 1994, that the idea of getting an international criminal court really started to gather steam. But it wasn't until the Nuremberg trials prosecuting Nazi war criminals of Nazism, that the International Criminal Court, really came to fruition. Preceding that, there was this international global movement led by the United Nations, a lot of intellectuals, and as well as Human Rights Watch, who really said that enough is enough. We really have to have an International Criminal Court of Justice to prosecute countries, but more specifically individuals, who are culpable of these gross 4 crimes in particular. Now, the ICC, it has 3 fundamental functions. It developed with the Rome Statute of 1998, so it really only has jurisdiction over countries and states which have signed on to the Rome Statute, which is not all countries. I believe that there's 193 countries who have signed on. The ICJ has jurisdiction over those countries, and equally too, the UN can initiate a country or individual who should be prosecuted, and also countries can initiate cases to thereby prosecute individuals as well as countries. The ICC has been viewed as racist and very much Eurocentric, in that there's been 21 prosecutions so far, with the bulk of those being individuals and countries coming from Africa. Now, the former president of the ICC addressed this, stating that while it may be perceived that the ICC is racist, it's actually not. The ICC's effectiveness has also equally come into question. I mean, there's only been 21 prosecutions so far, and it's almost 30-year existence with a very big budget as well.